Well, friends, the time has come for us to unveil the name and logo of our church. As many of you already know, we are transitioning from the United Methodist Church into the Global Methodist Church, and because we're doing that, we realized as a leadership team that we would have to figure out what to call ourselves, and that actually had been in the works, and we had been talking about that for a number of months, trying to figure out, well, are we First United Methodist Church, or are we Marysville First United Methodist Church, or are we FUMC or MFUMC, all those things. And so it all just kind of came to a head, and we realized, well, now's the time that God has given us that opportunity to really figure that out. Now, I have a folder of lots of data that you all have helped us to have. We had over 240 different name suggestions. We had over 40 different logo designs and different iterations of them, a lot to go through. So we had an engaged team that age range was from about 18 to about 80, and they were sorting through things and gave you some surveys and gathered a bunch of different data. And then we had the leadership team that was owning that whole process and that was working with the engaged team back and forth. I was really passionate about a few key principles, but I wasn't going to make this my church name, and just like convince everybody. Because I like to golf, I like to hunt. And so it might have ended up being like Buck Birdie Church or or something like that. So, but God has been just absolutely blessing us all along the way. You all have been praying, you've been participating. It's been fantastic. Let me give you just a couple of the principles that we were really wrestling with to help you to know how challenging this process has been. If you think about what would a 3-year-old maybe be able to understand and what would an 83-year-old be excited about, that's a wide range. And so I've actually interacted with a 3-year-old and an 83-year-old in this video that you'll see in just a minute. But that's really, really tough. To give you an example of how tough, if you think about the word movement, that's a new name for churches all across the nation. Well, that's really, really cool. And my kids might think of movement like, wow, yeah, that's kind of like when I go to the gym and I'm working out and stuff. Or they might think movement like Martin Luther King Jr., kind of movement and that kind of thing. But to be honest, my grandmother, when she would use the word movement, it was relating to after eating a couple of prunes. And so the generational differences of using the different terms, we realized, oh man, we've got to be really careful to pick something that's enduring. And so the name that we've chosen is one that has been around for centuries and is going to be around probably until Jesus comes back. It's that kind of enduring. It's not just one generation specific or kind of a fad that might go out of style. Same goes for the logo, really wanting something that would be able to just keep going throughout the centuries even, but at the very least, the next several decades, and not just kind of like go out of style and that kind of thing. So that's very, very tricky. Second thing we were wrestling with is we love the word Marysville, we love the community, but not everybody that attends here is from Marysville, and our reach goes far beyond Marysville. And like the word first, on one hand, we were one of the first churches here. Presbyterians and us kind of argue over who was first, but but at the same time, that didn't fit kind of as the main identity. Wanted something that would get us very quickly to Jesus, that whatever the name was, because he's the most important, not the humans, not the building, but Jesus is. And so as we wrestled through, we realized, okay, so we're going to need to find something that really gets us quickly to Jesus. So we're going to kind of unveil this in a couple of different pieces. First, let me let you watch or just at least listen to an interview that I did with Paul Lazenby from our church, a longtime builder. And let's listen to how he processes a key element of the name. And then we'll talk about the scripture passage that really roots us. And then you'll see me kind of interact with a 3-year-old, about the logo. And then we'll put it all together there at the very, very end. Paul Lazenby, you've been with the church 35 years.
Yeah.
You've built shopping centers. I know you said at least 5 churches.
Yes.
You built, and then out here, you've got period homes, early American period homes, 1700s, right? Let's talk about the corner of buildings. So before we get to the idea of like the whole cornerstone as we may know it now, the corner of a building, what goes into building the corner?
There's a surveyor involved through the whole project of setting corners, and then you would set batter boards, they're called, so you could get the footers in and the foundation in.
So when you're setting those edges, how far off can you be?
Can't be off. Can't be off.
It's got to be just perfect.
Right.
If it's not quite right, what happens?
You tear it down.
You tear it down. You start over?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What about colors? We have a color palette given to us by the designer that we were working with, and we were so blessed to have a designer that's also a pastor. So graphic designer and pastor together, but one of our leadership team members did a lot of digging into the symbolism and just kind of theology behind different colors and those types of things. And it turns out that there's this particular blue called Tehelet. Don't ask me to say it again, but it's a Hebrew color that for even almost 2,000 years, we weren't exactly sure how they made it, but it was in the Bible, and it was the color that a priest would wear. And then as people made prayer shawls, they would put the little threads at the end, the tassels of their prayer shawl that even Jesus would have used, would have had that color in it to connect them to this idea of the high priest. Well, in the New Testament, the high priest is Jesus. So if you put all that together, and it's just a striking color of blue, that's the main color. And then we'll have this color palette that we have other colors that would be complementary that could be used along with that. Well, as you know, we're going to be Global Methodist. We're going to be part of the movement. The association of churches called the Global Methodist Church. And so that's important to us. We don't want to hide from that. And for the people that are long-timers in Marysville, they're always going to know us as the Methodist Church. And we didn't want to lose that kind of connection. At the same time, as I said a little bit earlier, we really wanted kind of that anchor word that would maybe go before that to get us quickly to Jesus and to really focus us on Jesus. And you can already see where some of the terminology that Paul and I used as we were talking could get us there. But let's go to Acts chapter 4 and listen to Emily read these verses that really kind of hone in on who Jesus is and a particular word that we could use as an anchor word for our church. Let's listen. Acts chapter 4.
For Jesus is the one referred to in the Scriptures where it says, "The stone that you builders rejected has now become the cornerstone. There is salvation in no one else. God has given no other name under heaven by which we must be saved."
Well, just as with the colors, you have a color palette, and so you've got an anchor color, but then you have these others that can be used along with it, depending on the context. Our designer had this idea that we'd have this main logo, but then other iterations of it, different versions of it that you could use in different settings to really complement each other. And so you'd have this overall theme and feel to it that would point you to Jesus, but it would look slightly different depending on where we were using it. It's a beautiful idea, but it's also got to be simple. So I tested it with a 3-year-old, Hattie. You're going to see us kind of putting it together as a puzzle. There's important symbolism there. Hopefully you can hear what we talked about, and then I'll just kind of show you there at the end the different iterations, the different versions of it all kind of together. And then you'll see the name and a little bit of a tagline that we're working with, and hopefully this will be a blessing to you. Let's watch. Okay, all right, so I'm going to leave that right there, okay? The cross represents who? Who?
Jesus.
Oh, nice. You want to pound the rock? You like that? Oh, I like that. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So, for the logo of our church, let's say that you were that piece right here because you're a piece of our church, all right? And I'll be this piece here because I'm a little taller, okay? And we're going to put it together, all right?
I'm
Okay.
taller than Lucy.
You are. You're really tall for your age. It's amazing. Okay, so let's see if we can put this one together, all right? All the different pieces coming together like the people coming together of a church. Yep. And when we come together, we want to remind people of Jesus because we're like the body of Christ. Look at that. Oh, you're doing great. Oh my goodness, this is good. I know. I like it. Yep. Oh, that's perfect. That's right. Yep. Look at that. Goes right there. Oh yeah. Yep. There you go.
Broke the piece.
Is it right in there? Nice. Oh, look at that. That's perfect. And what's in the middle?
A cross.
A cross. And what does the cross represent?
Jesus.
Jesus. Get your mom. What do you think? Is that good or do you like it?
Yes. I like it.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much. You're great. Well, I know you were watching closely. I know you probably could put together what that logo looks like, at least pretty close. So here it is, put together with a drone footage piece that our own Pastor Mark put together. And I think you'll like it. Let's watch. We are Cornerstone Global Methodist Church. Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Come home.
I like it.